If you are an autism parent and you have been on Facebook in the last week or so, then you for sure have seen information about this next story that we're going to cover. There is a couple who live in Texas, just outside of Dallas, who have decided to put their time and energies behind something very near and dear to them, creating a facility for adults who are on the autism spectrum to live happy, safe, and productive lives. We're talking about a place called 29 Acres, and joining us from Denton, Texas, is Debra Caudy. Debra, I'm so excited to have you joining us. I saw this story and I was blown away by the devotion that you and your husband have for your son. You have a son who's on the autism spectrum, who's 19, is that correct?
That's correct. John's 19.
And you and your husband are an integral part of, you're the co-founder of something called 29 Acres. Tell us a little bit about what the project is.
Right. So we are a future housing community for adults with autism and other special abilities. And our vision is to be able to offer an alternative to what's available to us in the North Texas area now, which is mostly the group home setting. And, group homes work, I think, extremely well for certain individuals, but we would just like to see a broader scope of different living arrangements for our adults with autism. And so we want to build a safe and very dynamic, innovative housing community for our adults with ASD and other special abilities. And in that community, offer programming for our residents that is evidence-based and really designed to further independence and improve outcomes.
Well, and it's the kind of place that gives all of us hope. That this kind of place, although it does not yet exist in the way that you're saying that it's going to exist at some point down the road, it is the hope. It's something that's right. It resonates, I think, with so many parents. I want to back up just a little bit and talk about, at what point, Debra, did you and your husband decide, okay, we're going to have to do this because nobody else is coming to do this? When did you say this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it?
Well, actually, we've been working on it for years, Shannon. We probably started thinking about John's future as an adult when he was, maybe 14 or 15. And myself, I, and some of the other founding families with 29 Acres, we began to make trips around the country to look at other living arrangements, what other folks were doing, did a lot of research into other communities and group homes and, what others were doing out there to help fill the need. And we actually, spent 2 or 3 years doing this. And finally, and we had been looking for, as John continued to, grow up, and soon he was 18, and we also had been looking in this area and just didn't feel like there was a housing and programming concept that worked for him. And so we began looking for land. We really were convinced that we wanted to build more of a community type of setting for John and others. And we began looking for land, and we probably did that for about 1.5 years. And just one day, 29 acres, it's actually just short of 29 acres, but it became available on the market, and we went up and looked at it, and the price was right, and the location was beautiful, and we just bought it. And I think then once we bought it, and then Clay and I just decided we're moving forward. That we don't have all the answers, and we're going to make mistakes along the way, but that we just have to find a way to get this done.
I love your initiative and I love your spirit, the both of you. As a fellow autism parent, I think everyone who has a child who's on the autism spectrum has had at least one sleepless night where you find yourself awake staring at the ceiling going, what happens to my child when I'm not here? It is so overwhelming and so scary to people. And I have a 13-year-old now, so I'm just now getting into those years where I think, okay, but not even just when I'm gone, what happens in adulthood, and all the different questions that we all have. I've at least for the last couple of years been saying, okay, I'm going to start looking at different options but I have a special place in my heart for parents who look and say it doesn't exist, so I'm going to create it. And that takes a great deal of energy. But for people who are out there who find that a little overwhelming, how wonderful that you're taking the initiative with a group of people and that you're going to create it. So again, we want to say a little bit about it. This is a residential facility where people can live, all evidence-based practices. We love that. But you have such a wide variety of things. Only in Texas could you do it on 29 acres. Anyplace else you'd have to do it on a half an acre. But you've got 29 acres, which is amazing, and plan for facilities, but you've got water features that are there. You've got a plan for organic gardens, which is, I just absolutely love this. So talk just a little bit, Deborah, about some of the programming ideas that you have for the individuals who will come and live there.
Yes, I'd love to do that, actually. And our speaking of the 29 acres and the location is really ideal from our point of view. It's a suburban model. And this area in Texas is, the growth there is just tremendous in this area. In fact, you just really can't stop the growth in this area. But what's unique about this location, and part of the reasons why we chose this land, is because we're juxtapositioned to two universities, University of North Texas and Texas Women's University, and about 15 minutes away from a community college. And we plan to bring all of these opportunities, through the colleges into our programming, both in terms of training and staffing, but also, research opportunities to continue to try to advance best practices. But programming-wise, so we have always wanted to be able to offer quality programming for really adults across the spectrum, and I think that I've absolutely convinced myself that that's really necessary, because even and this, and I think that certainly parent, this audience probably knows this too, but even our adults with high functioning autism need some type of support, it seems like, at least for a period of time, and sometimes for their life, to be successful with competitive employment and independent living opportunities. And of course, my son requires much more individualized support to be successful. So we want to design programming that can offer opportunities for individuals really across the spectrum. So one, we think, very cool program that we're very excited to bring to North Texas is a program that was originally founded at Taft's Community College in California, and by a gentleman called Jeff Ross, who's the founder and creator of that program, and he has since implemented that programming at First Place, Arizona in Phoenix. and they're in their second year now. And this is a program for individuals who are very motivated to live independently, enjoy competitive employment. And it has a wonderful published proven track record with very impressive results out of California. But basically, it's a 2-year residential transitional program that allows these individuals to build on their independent living and their work skills before moving into a more independent living arrangement. And they actually live with us on 29 acres, but then they spend their day at the community college taking classes and participating in transitional type of employment opportunities, and then they come back to their houses and they're mentored in their homes. And that, of course, is correlated with what they're learning in their classes. And the second year, they move out in the community and live in apartments, and we continue the year 2 of their programming there. And then, if they feel ready, then after 24 months, we help them transition into a more independent living arrangement. And of course, that program, it's wonderful. It has impressive data behind it. It's not a good fit for my son, but it can be a very good fit for so many high-functioning individuals who just need a little more time, a little more support to make that transition. And so our programming for the Johns of the world, my son, it will focus also on improving independent living skills and creating vocational supported employment opportunities. We really want to focus on overall wellness, and by that I mean not only recreation, being fit, and nutritional support and counseling, but also better access to health care, because we all know that the health care with our population is it has a lot of room for growth.
Yes.
And we want to help them with long-lasting, meaningful relationships, friendships with people that live in the community, friendships with people that are out in the local communities, their neighbors, their business leaders, whatever. And I think a core feature of all of our programming is that we're committed to really deeply connecting our residents with their local communities. I want John to have access to the people, the places, the activities, that he wants to have access to. So we need bus stops, and we need cars, and we need Uber and Lyft, and lots of different modes of transportation. So that our residents can be connected to their local communities and have that be an easy process for them. And we want improved outcomes. I mean, we want to measure quality of life indicators, such as, do you feel self-fulfilled? Do you feel productive? Are you happy? Who's your friend? And all of those things can be measured. So, and then of course, we're right next door to University of North Texas and these other colleges and community colleges, and it'll be a great thing, when we can fold some of their graduate students and their fellows, into our programming and have them work with us and train with us and, participate in research opportunities. But, really all of our programming, whether it's the Transition Academy for higher functioning individuals, or whether it's the Johns of the world who require more individualized support, it all centers around, growth and, improving independence and, getting out there in your, in your local communities and, working when you can and, having meaningful relationships and being engaged and having health. Health is a measure of quality of life, good health.
It's an amazing undertaking, Deborah, and I'm so excited for you and about this project. It's going to take a lot of money, and you're right now in a funding stage to be able to break ground. Is that correct? You guys haven't been able to break ground yet?
Well, we actually have structured this initiative a little bit differently, where we're doing our, and it's a little bit innovative. It's something a bit different, but we are building the structures, the houses and the community center. We're building that under a limited partner as a for-profit social investment, a low rate of return. And, we're looking for, investors to participate, in what I would call, impact investing. Nobody's going to get rich off this investment. And then our programming remains a nonprofit. And we do have, because we want to be able to offer scholarships to our residents to participate in our programming, because programming is expensive.
Yeah.
And so we do have about $2.5–3 million of startup costs on our nonprofit side, and that is mostly going to go to launching the programs and having the scholarships in place by the time our first residents move in.
And I just want to make the case, though, that anybody who's watching this and is excited like I am and wants to be a part of making sure that this happens, there's a way for them to donate. That you are taking donations right now from absolutely anyone. Do you have the information there about where and how we would need to go to donate?
Yeah, it's you can donate on our website. It's 29acres.org. And again, these funds are primarily going towards launching our programs and the scholarships that we want to be able to offer to the residents who live with us and participate in our programming. Yep.
And I also want to say too, because people ask these questions from time to time, but you and your husband, people always say, we'll put your money where your mouth is, and you and your husband have. You have already donated a lot of money to this project, a dizzying amount of money, and I applaud you for doing that and putting your money where your mouth is. We hope that everybody who's watching, who is concerned about what happens to our adults, and perhaps if you're somebody who's thinking, where is my adult child going to go, you can go to 29acres.org, find out more information about the programs and the facilities, and you can donate. And that would be a wonderful thing to do to make sure that all kinds of individuals have access to these kinds of programs. And we look forward to following this story, Deborah, and hearing more about how things progress, because this is exactly the kind of thing that needs to happen. And we're inspired by you. We're excited about this project and thrilled.
Well, you're so nice to have me on, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we have, the vision is good, the interest is there, we have some momentum, and with a little bit of luck and some additional investors and some additional startup costs, we hope to be able to break ground on a smaller footprint of the total build this year. Probably later this year, maybe in the fall, but that's what we really want to do. We want to get something on the ground. We want to get the programming going, just, because the need is, just enormous. So we're trying to get that phase 1 on the ground this year.
Well, congratulations for everything that you've already put in place. We're unfortunately out of time. I'm going to ask you to stay on the line, though, as we go to commercial, because I just want to chat with you a little bit more. But I thank you so much. Please give our best to everybody and stay in touch with us so that we can continue to, we'd love to cover as you start your programs and as you break ground.
Absolutely. And we want you to. Yeah,
Fabulous.
We want you to. Thank you.
And again, it's 29acres.org.